Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All goes to Prabhupada, all goes to Guru Maharaj, all goes to assembled devotee. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Radhika Mataji. This is Kamaliki Dasi from Baltimore. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Maharaj, Prabhupada, and all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Kamaliki Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Radhika Mataji, Dantvat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Ravanti from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna Shravanti Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Radha Damodar Das and Atma Maya from Austin, Texas. Please accept our humble obeisances. All goes to Guru Maharaj, all goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Radha Damodar Prabhuji and Atma Maya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Prabhuji and Mataji, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. This is Radha from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna Radha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. This is Dinabandhu Guru Das and Lalita Devi Dasi from Sandy Ridge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Dinabandhu Prabhuji and Lalita Mataji, please accept our humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Prabhuji and Mataji, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Is there anybody else who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna, this is Braj Mohan Das from ISKCON Chopati.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Braj Mohan Prabhuji to enlighten us on the topic Srimad Bhagavatam 4.29.1. I would like to hand over call to Sureshwar Prabhuji to give some introduction about the Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, are you present in the call?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Nandulal Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. What our introduction of Braj Mohan Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Can you hear me, Mataji?
I can hear you, Prabhuji, but we don't have introduction for Braj Mohan Prabhu's today. So
okay,
thank you.
okay,
Thank
you. Yeah, okay. Right. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Should we begin? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So let's offer prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, entitled Talks Between Narada and King Prachini Bhari, text number 1. Prachini Bhari Uvacha. My thing is gone when you share the screen. Oh, yes. प्राचिने बर्हिर्वाच भगवंस्ते वचोऽस्माभिर्न सम्यग् अवगम्यते कवयस्तद्विजानन्ति न वयं कर्म मोहिता प्राचीनि बर्हिर्वाच भगवंस्ते वचोऽस्माभिर्न सम्यग् अवगम्यते कवयस्तद्विजानन्ति न वयं कर्म मोहिता प्राचीनि बर्हिर्वाच भगवंस्ते वचोऽस्माभिर्न सम्यग् अवगम्यते कवयस्तद्विजानन्ति न वयं कर्म मोहिता Prachini Barhi King Prachini Barhi said, Bhagavan, O my Lord, they your vachaha words, asmami by us, na never, samyak perfectly, avagamyate are understood. Kavaya those who are expert, tat that, vijananti can understand, na never, we karma by fruitive activities, mohita enchanted. Translation King Prachini Barhi replied, My dear Lord, we could not appreciate completely the purport of your allegorical story of King Puranjana. Actually, those who are perfect in spiritual knowledge can understand, but for us who are overly attached to fruitive activities, to realize the purpose of your story is very difficult. In Bhagavad Gita 7.13, Lord Krishna says, Tribir gunamair bhavair ebi sarvam idam jagat mohitam nabijanati mamebhya paramavyayam. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Generally, people are enchanted by the three modes of material nature and therefore practically unable to understand that behind all materialistic activities in the cosmic manifestation is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Generally, when people are engaged in sinful or pious activities, they are not perfect in knowledge of devotional service. The allegorical story narrated by Narada Muni to King Barishman is especially meant to engage conditioned souls in devotional service. The entire story narrated allegorically is easily understood by a person in devotional service, but those who are engaged not in devotional service but in sense gratification cannot perfectly understand it. That is admitted by King Barishman. This 29th chapter describes that by too much attachment for woman, one becomes a woman in the next life. But a person who associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his representative becomes free from all material attachments and is thus liberated. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Just 1 minute. Hare Krishna, my great pleasure and privilege to be amidst the devotees of Bhakti Sanga Japa group, and so many wonderful Vaishnavas assemble every day, and so many exalted speakers come and share their realizations on the Srimad Bhagavatam every day here. And I also many times log on and hear when I get time, or when something really interests me. So my deepest gratitude and thanks to those who are continuing to make this happen. I know it's not easy. In Kali Yuga, to maintain something is the most difficult thing. To maintain the quality and the consistency is very difficult. And so to all those, the whole team that is doing this, my sincere appreciation for them. And this particular verse is in the series where there is discussion between Prachini Bari, a great king, and Narada Muni, a great sage. And we see this consistent theme in the Bhagavatam, that the great kings were always in touch with great saints like Narada Muni, Parvat Muni, Angira Rishi, or Durvasa Muni. And this was a wonderful quality uh, of leadership, by which both were able to understand the matter from another perspective. One is an active participant in the society, who is the king, and another is a passive participant, like the Narada Muni. And which one plays a more important role? Both of them play an equally important role. There is there is the background arrangement that is needed, and then there is a foreground activity that's also important. And the role of the preachers or sages like Narada Muni is to observe the society. And when they observe the society, they are able to uh, see what's going wrong and where it is going wrong. And this is something that recently I was speaking about in connection to Mahabharata. Recently I had done this Krishna Niti seminar. In that I was sharing that one of the first times how Lord Krishna is introduced in the Mahabharata, not the one of the first time, but the first time he is introduced, is at the Draupadi Swayamvar. And at the Draupadi Swayamvar, all these kings of that time, or the princes of that time, were assembled. And they were wanting the hand of the most beautiful mistress of that time, Draupadi. And Draupadi, as you all know, her another name is Krishna, because she was a black beauty. And we see that before the invasion and the whole Western mindset crept into India, color was not the characteristic by which beauty was determined. It was the features, and it also was the character. And so Draupadi, she was black in color, but she was extremely beautiful. And therefore, so many kings from all over the world, they wanted to come and get her hand in marriage. 1 minute, somebody is there at the door. I'm giving a class. थोड़ा बाद. So, Hare Krishna. Sorry for that interruption. So all these kings, they came to get the hand of Draupadi, and in that assembly, Krishna and Balaramji also come, and that was a time when the Pandavas had just come out of that great tragedy of House of Lac. They were put in fire, literally tried to burn them down alive, roast them alive, and they had escaped, and they came and they were hiding in a potter's house. And it is explained that they were so disgusted with the kind of attacks that that were happening to them, and because of their uh, the way they were raised, they were used to brahminical life in the forests. So therefore they kind of resorted to just let live like this in a potter's house or somewhere nearby, just begging and making a living. And at that time, I think it was Narada Muni, if I remember correctly, who also comes with a message that there is a Swayamvar that is there for Draupadi, and you all should go and at least be in that assembly. So the Pandavas, they all come and they are seated in the Brahmana section, and Krishna and Balaram are seated in the Kshatriya section. And as everyone is coming and trying to lift the bow and target it to that fish, no one was successful. Everyone was failing bitterly, where in a very don't know. It is said most of the kings didn't even could face the bow or lift the bow, and all the citizens in Panchala Desh, they were all making fun of the royal order. That what kind of strength did you acquire? And not these kinds of things are often poked on leaders. Accusations are put that you are just sitting and sleeping, or you're just uh, like a parasite utilizing all our money and not really doing what's worth in your own personal strength development nor in the society's welfare. And when almost all the kings failed, Krishna Balram, they didn't get up. They didn't take up the challenge because they didn't come to fight for the hand of Draupadi. Of course, some people, they have this misconception that Draupadi and Krishna had a conjugal kind of relationship, and therefore the word Saki is used, but it's actually a brother-sister relationship that both of them had, a friend-friend relationship. And like Krishna is called as Sakha, therefore like a friend, and Draupadi is called as Sakhi, another friend, like in the modern parlance, not a girlfriend, but a friend who is a girl. I'm sure many of the boys that are with you, under you, they may be saying this. She is not my boyfriend, she is not my girlfriend. She is a friend who is a boy or who is a girl. So it was actually not just faking it up, but actually it was that kind of relationship between Krishna and Draupadi. So Krishna or Draupadi, Balramji, didn't come there to get the hand of her, but they came to observe, because now that Krishna killed Kamsa and he had come out to see how the whole society was corrupted with so many evil kings, and dharma had declined to such a large extent both in Hastinapur and in Magadha Desh and so many other places. The Pragjyotishpura by Banasura and so many Narakasuras, Pragjyotishpura, and the Trikuta, what is the Banasura's capital? I forget. So Krishna was on a mission to find the right candidate who will be able to be an instrument in his mission to establish dharma. So he came to observe, and this was a great nice understanding that I got, that Krishna or God or Guru or a teacher or a leader, one of his main duties to lead or to empower people is first to observe, is first to see what's going on or how are people responding. And therefore the Kshatriya class, many a times because they are so absorbed in the society's activities in administration, they are not able to see a bigger picture, they are not able to see the complete picture. And therefore the brahmanas who play a passive role, as I said, the kshatriyas are active leaders and the brahmanas are passive leaders. The role of the brahmanas is to observe, and if there is something that is going wrong, to go and try to fix it by giving proper advice. And although Krishna is a kshatriya, of course he did all types of activities, therefore he spoke Gita like a brahmana, he killed kshatriyas, like so many evil kings like kshatriya, he established a grand empire like Vaishya in Dwaraka, and also he served menially Arjuna and the Pandavas like a Shudra, not so Krishna doesn't belong to any one particular category, and this was one of the bewildering things about Krishna, that Shishupal couldn't grasp who is he, and this is one of the accusations that he puts. So Krishna was playing this role of observer, and even in the analogy that Prabhupada gives and the Upanishads give, that samane vrikshe, that on the same tree there are two birds that are there. One bird is absorbed in eating in tasting different fruits, and another bird is upadrashta, is observing, and is observing this other bird who is absorbed and seeing when will be that opportune moment when he will turn to me. And this turning back to Krishna is the whole goal of spiritual life, of the purpose of this creation, is to turn to Krishna, turn our face from antarmukha, from bahirmukha to antarmukha, from outward facing, from the world to face the world, to face the Lord inside us. And so Narad Muni has this task to observe how society is going and to take proper actions. Now this task should not be just delegated to others around us, or to expect that somebody else will observe, because especially in this lockdown period or with the lives that we have, we may not have people that we are not exposed to enough people to observe us. Even our own spiritual masters don't observe us because we are not there with them. But in the traditional Gurukul system, the parents were there, the Guru was there, and he was seeing right from the childhood the student. And there like I had in my childhood my family doctor. So right from say age of 2 till I went to college, he was one fixed doctor, family doctor, because he knows what am I allergic to, what will work, what will not work. And now there are specialists in different fields, but no specialist in the person who is affected. So we have so no particular doctor or no particular teacher knows the subject, the person. They know the subjects very well. Even in ISKCON we have a expert in this, an expert in that, an expert in that, and we tend to run from pillar to pole, trying to go to different experts for different concepts or discussions within the realm of bhakti in our life. But is there someone who is expert with us, who expertly knows us? And unless we have that person around us, or we allow that kind of person around us, then it will be very difficult for us to improve. Just recently in our Brahmachari Ashram's WhatsApp forum, there was a wonderful photo that was shared, a very powerful photo. I wish I had it ready access. Maybe I'll share it later on the Bhakti Sanga group. This photo was, there was a cheetah whose head got stuck in a pot. There was a metal pot, and maybe try to peek into the pot and then couldn't come out, because when you go in, the ears, they kind of fold, but when you try to come out, those same ears kind of get block it, and there's no way you can put your hand, or the tiger can put the hand to try to not let the ears fold out. So this cheetah was hopelessly stuck in this iron pot, in this metal pot, and this was in a village, and there are so many people around cheetah that are watching this happening, but almost none of them, no one was daring to go and help the cheetah. And the statement that was put is that sometimes people want to help us, but because of the nature that we carry, nobody is willing to take that risk. So it's not just to have people around, but also how do we behave with those people that are there with us, that do they, even if they observe something, are they willing to correct it? Otherwise, like the cheetah, we'll be stuck in that matka, in that conception, in our habits, in our conditionings forever. And we will be thinking that's the world. Of course, it was struggling for oxygen. I don't know what exactly happened with that cheetah. Maybe somebody gave anesthesia and tried to remove that matka from that, just like Narada Muni here. Instead of just uh, directly pointing out faults in Prachini Bari, he is giving an anesthesia. He is taking him on a tour where he forgets himself, where he doesn't identify with the instructions that are being given, that hey, he is pointing that I am at fault. And usually for a leader, for somebody who gives orders to others, it's very difficult to take orders. It's very difficult to take corrections, because you get so used to correcting others, and you many times are not able to see faults in yourself. So therefore, all of us should see that am I being just absorbed into my routines and schedules, or am I taking time to observe, like Krishna in the Draupadi Swayamvara, to observe, like Narad Muni with Prachini Bari, to observe, and if we, and also to let others who are around us, say our spouse or our devotees around us, sometimes devotees just live such a private life that they just don't want to reveal anything to anyone. Of course, not everything can be public, but uh, especially for the main discussions or our schedules, we should always be in consultation, so that uh, someone doesn't have to go through the trouble that Narad Muni went through to come up with such a route, which is, even for Prachini Barish, it was difficult for him to understand. And he is explaining here that the allegorical story of Puranjan which you shared, I'm not able to fully grasp it. And so if it was difficult for Puranjana to hear and understand, how much difficult it would have been for Narada Muni to script it. And any of the devotees that are into writing, that are into preparing lectures or giving lectures, or writing a book or preparing dramas, content, script, how do you view things in a fashion that is very effective, is not an easy thing. And no matter how how many times you do it, it's always a challenge. And for Narad Muni to constantly rack his brains, rack his intellect, to be able to come up with different strategies for different audiences is not easy. But he's showing that this is how preaching or outreach will happen. It's not that there will be a set formula that can be applied to all people for all generations, and that's how people will become devotees. The goal is always the same: to bring someone to the lotus feet of Krishna, to make someone ready to offer whatever gifts, talents they have to serve Krishna. But to inspire them to do that and to make them understand where they are going wrong, for that it is a difficult task. And that's why his preaching is very exciting but also very draining. But of course, someone like Narada Muni, because he is always so absorbed apart from this in the holy names of Narayana, Radhika, Ramana, he is getting that strength. And therefore, no personal sadhana and absorption in our own spiritual life. Many times what happens is, with our own sadhana, we are in the observing mode. We are just going through the motions, as Sasuru Maharaj writes in his Japa Reform book. We are going through the motions without any emotion. It is in the morning program, it is in the Srimad Bhagavatam when we are studying. That is the time when we are supposed to be absorbed, just fully there with our emotions when we are chanting. But those are the times we are we are observing the entire world, or we are observing our mind. And as Mahatma Prabhu in his I think 32 types of wrong japa, one of the japa types is radar japa, where our eyes and our mind is just like going round and round. Video is splitting it up. Hopefully it will be back fine soon. So 1 minute. So so what was I sharing about? I just lost the thought in the video not being properly coming. So I was speaking about Narada Muni going through this very difficult exercise to convince, as I was speaking about japa, radar japa, that we are in the observer mode. And even when we go to the temple, we are just observing how is everyone doing, who is sitting where, how is the other person doing his japa, rather than being absorbed in the time. That is a time where we have to nourish ourselves. Sadhana, going to the temple or associating with devotees or hearing in a class, is a time to absorb. And instead of absorbing in that time, we are observing. And because we are observed, and then the rest of the day we are absorbed into our work, into movies, into other things, which is not the exact opposite which we are supposed to do. During the day, as we are involving in our work, we are supposed to observe where am I doing it properly, where I am not doing it properly, and improve and be safe, and also protect ourselves from going into wrong tracks. But those times we don't apply our intellect. We just get absorbed. So just like in the society, for proper guidance, there is active involvement, which is being absorbed into the activity like a king to ensure things happen. But also there is a need for a brahmana who observes and corrects. So that aspect also should be there within ourselves. We can't expect others to do it for us. And it's a great blessing if we have people around us that can that can help us to see ourselves better. And also part of that is, how do we respond when corrections are given? If we, so many times this happens is that when a devotee is given a correction, he's immediately like say he is sleeping. And how many times we have seen that when a Prabhu or Mataji is told, Mataji, you're sleeping, or then immediately the response comes, no, I'm not sleeping, I'm just uh, silently chanting. Or some say, I just close my eyes, and they accuse that as if that the other person is just there like a helicopter. It's called as helicopter parenting, where he's always there, and whenever there is something wrong that is committed, there is immediate correction. So sometimes that kind of accusation is also given, that I just close my eyes and immediately are giving correction. If I had slept for a long time, then you should know I would have woken up. So all these kinds of when we immediately defend ourselves or rationalize that I'm not going in the wrong track. Japa is one particular example. But of course, in this lockdown time, there is no one else around us uh, to even observe the basic sadhana that we do. So at least regularly, and these Japa Zoom calls help devotees, especially when they put their videos on. Of course, even in the uh, classes, I always suggest that everybody should keep their videos on, because that way they are conscious that they are there. Otherwise, the tendency is videos off and minds are in other places. So, but whatever is the norm, usually that is the standard. Just a minute, there's one more, someone else has come. थोड़ा देर के बाद काम क्लास चल रहा है, क्लास में हूँ मैं. I think I should put up nowadays online classes have become more normal, so I had to put up a do not disturb sign like in the hotels. So this was one thing that I wanted to share in today's discussion about Krishna observing, and also this balancing being absorbed, and also uh, taking out time and keeping our minds aloof so that we can observe ourselves and others. And another aspect is sometimes we are all so busy, even in a family, that there is no time to observe others. The parents are busy in their own lives, that they really can't see what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, or what are the likings of their children. So, but in the Vedic time, there were so many that were around us to observe, and therefore there was no holistic development, and each one could guide in different ways. Therefore, Bhagavatam, it is said that the way Bhagavatam explains absolute truth is like a mother, like a sister, and like a friend. Because the different ways in which advice can be given, in a very commanding way, in a demanding, in a very forceful way, or in a very suggestive way. And the scriptures do that, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's another point that came to me as I was seeing this discussion Prachini Bari and Narad Muni are having, is that this is what Narad Muni is trying to do here, is in today's parlance called as indirect preaching. There is direct sharing of Krishna Katha, or the message of Krishna, that we are all sinful, we are choosing a wrong path, and we have to take to the shelter of the holy names, and we'll get delivered. That is the direct preaching. And then there is an indirect preaching where through personality development, or through stress management, through addressing the problems of the people, that we try to raise them slowly. And here in Narada Muni, he is of course this specific word is also used, called as Parokshavad, that the Supreme Lord is very happy when someone glorifies him indirectly, that one who is the son of Yashoda, or one who has been unattached to the the material world. So these are indirect ways of glorifying Krishna or referring. And in the scriptures, Srila Prabhupada speaks this. This is called as Shaka Chandranyaya. When a small child wants to see as to be told what is the moon is, if the mother directly points to the moon and says, "There is the moon," then what will happen in this direct preaching is that first of all, the child has not got a very strong vision to be able to see the moon, which is so far. And another thing is that when the mother points her finger and says, "Here is the moon," there is great chance that because the child only knows the mother, the child will think that it is the tip of the mother's finger which is the moon, and he may think that, oh, this is the moon. Of course, there is nothing as cooling as the touch of a mother, or the mother, or when mother cooks her food. It's actually she is the moon in everyone's life, the cooling aspect. But apart from that, when the mother has to point to the moon, if he just directly points to the moon, he will not get it. And she may think that I'm showed in the moon, but he has he seen the moon, and has he understood what is the color of the moon, where does the moon stay. So therefore, mother, Prabhupada speaks this analogy of Shaka Chandrana. Mother doesn't show the moon first. In the pursuit of showing the moon, the mother first sees what can the child see, or what can the child agree or conceive, which is the tree, because the tree is something that is very near to, and the child can go and touch. And so the mother takes the child near a tree in the evening or in the night and says, "Beta, this is what is called as tree." Now, if someone comes, say the mother-in-law of that of that family, and she will, if she just says that, "I told you to show the moon, but you are showing the tree," and tree is not the moon, and she may accuse. And of course, if the mother just stops there, showing the tree and playing with the tree and being with the tree, then obviously the mother is also misinformed, or she has other motives. She just wants an excuse to go out. But then slowly the vision of the child is raised to, along as you see the trunk of the tree, do you see the branches? Yes, I see the branches. Do you see the right two branches? Yes, I see the right two branches. Of the right two branches, do you see the right branch? Yes, I see the right branch. That becomes two more branches. Yes, I see that. And then between those two branches, do you see something that is very white in color, that is very bright, white and bright and round? And then the child is able to perceive the moon. And so this is what is called as indirect preaching, is based on the level of the child, and one helps one to raise one's vision slowly, with the ultimate motive to connect to the moon, to see the moon, Krishna Chandra. And Narada Muni has that intention, that he wants Prachini Bari to see the moon, to connect to the moon, to get nourishment from the moon. But currently he's just absorbed into the world around him, and his vision has to be raised. And for that to be raised, he's explaining in a very interesting way, in form of a story. Because stories, it is said that facts tell, but stories sell. So whatever are the facts that we are in Maya or this or that can be told, but when we put it in a story format, then they actually sell, then it actually creates an impact. And this is what Narada Muni is doing here. And we can see the difficulty that is there with indirect preaching or this kind of journey that has to be taken, is there is accusations by others, and there is also misunderstanding or incomplete understanding on part of the hearer, that Puranjana here is saying that I couldn't grasp. And this is also one is what one famously said about bridge preaching, about indirect preaching, is that the problem with the bridge preaching is that the people just stay on the bridge, they don't cross over. And we very much see that here Puranjana is not able to actually grasp, but he didn't resign, but he that okay, whatever was there, it was a good time pass or a nice movie that I watched. He actually wanted to understand, and he also understood that because he is currently so much attached to fruitive activities, and this whole realization has come because of that association with a great devotee like Narada Muni. So one of the main aspects is in trying to reach out to the people around us is the devotee himself. When devotees are very pure in their intentions, in their character, in their devotion, then that has a very subconscious effect on those who are around them, and slowly they'll start to open up. Before this, Prachini Bari had not mentioned, I had not said that I'm not able to understand spiritual knowledge, or that I'm overly attached to fruitive activities. This realization had not dawned upon him, but by the association of Narada Muni, which is the prima factor, the most important factor in transformation, is that association with a exalted devotee. Because only in their association do we get a glimpse of what they are experiencing, the happiness that they are experiencing, and the purification that comes in their Sangha, uh, gives it that impetus. Although we may lack interest before, to want to understand spiritual knowledge much better. And another thing is that Prachini Bari might well have understood the analogy, but just like Arjuna, he is asking clarification, so that people who don't have that kind of intelligence, or an allegory can always be misinterpreted. He wants to have the whole purport of the story clearly aligned there. So in today's parlance, this is called as movie spoilers. That to explain a movie, that now that Narada Muni has narrated the whole story, whole movie, which was very interesting, very absorbing, but many of them cannot understand. Like so many times when movies come, there is no on YouTube how explaining the movie. So, and they always put this, that these are movie spoilers. If you have not read the first one or seen the movie, don't read this or don't hear this. You will not be able to get it. So this chapter is like that Puranjana movie spoiler, where Narad Muni himself is explaining what each character in that movie and how, and whatever they did, each scene or each activity is what does that mean, how, why, especially in our lives. So these were the some understandings or reflections that I had when I was reading this verse and the whole chapter. So I'll stop here and see if any devotees have any questions or discussions. Hare Krishna. So we discussed about absorbing and observing, and then we discussed about direct and indirect.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for your wonderful class, Prabhuji. I request all the devotees, if they have any questions or realizations, you can please go ahead.
Is any just for 1 minute, I'm going to switch off the video. I'll be on. You can ask the question just for 1 minute. Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
any
Hare Krishna
devotee?
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Dandavat Prabhu.
Thank you Prabhu for the nice class and very nice points. And Prabhu, you made that phrase, right? Facts tell and stories.
Stories sell.
Didn't get. So stories sell. Okay, okay. And one more thing, Prabhu, in this verse,
Yeah.
the word "we" was used, right? But the discussion is going on between Narad Muni and Prachina Parishad. So I'm just trying to understand what does that "we" mean, Prabhu.
My dear Lord, we could not appreciate. This is a cultural way of a language that is used among civilized circles, where I is not used, but in fact we is used. And Prabhupada also that we were very fortunate to have been born. Instead of Prabhupada saying that I was very fortunate to have been born, Prabhupada says we were very fortunate to come in contact with the. So in this the emphasis goes to the to the content of the discussion rather than to the person. Otherwise, when I is used, I was very fortunate, so the glory comes upon I. But when usually we is used, we were very fortunate to come in contact with His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So the glory. So it's a cultural way of giving importance to the person who is or the content which is being spoken rather than to the person. Otherwise, I becomes the language has a lot to do with the way we perceive ourselves or we present. So this is about language where we is used. Of course, it is sometimes artificial or it is used overly, or when people are not able to, people really want to connect to you as a person and you're sharing some personal story, then I is preferred. But usually the more we minimize the I, even when you are like writing letters or speaking, it's 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 seen as that you are more culturally elevated. So that's why we is mentioned. It could also be that there were others who were hearing it, but the mention is not, and something so very personal discussion that I don't think that there was anyone else who was there hearing between Narada Muni and Prachini Barish.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. One more question, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Like now, this discussion is happening between Narada Muni and Prachina Parishad. So how long is that discussion, Prabhu? Just in because we have been, it takes long time, right, for us, for a period of months or something like that. But how long was this discussion, Prabhu? Any idea?
It may be a 1 hour, 1.5 hour discussion. I don't think it is bigger than the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is 700 verses, which took, Prabhupada says, 40 minutes. For us to recite the Bhagavad Gita takes long time, 2 hours to even recite. And so the timing is not given. How much time did they discuss? Now, if you see Uddhava and Maitreya's discussion, the 3rd canto and 4th canto, that took a long time. So I'm not sure about how much time did they spend with each other. It's not given when the arrival and departure timings of the meeting. Like in our calendars, we have Bhakti Sanga's Bhagavatham is from this time to this time. But not sure if such a schedules were there at that time.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other discussion, question? Or else?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay,
Yes,
go ahead.
Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji. No, Mataji, I was just.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for putting very nice points. So, Prabhuji, like you said, when we become senior and uh, correcting others, and like we don't see our faults. So, what to do in that situation, Prabhuji?
We have to know the pitfalls of being one-sided, that if we have to give, we have to receive. So we also should submit to someone our lives. And Prabhupada always said that one should be a fool in one in front of one spiritual master. So if you don't feel fool in front of someone or whom you can share, then that's a very risky situation. That, and of course this pandemic time is difficult for all the principles to apply, but we should always have someone from whom we are discussing, and as I said, if there's no one, then it's up to us to give the time, because like a doctor, when you go to a doctor, if he asks you, so how are you feeling, or what were the symptoms, if you are not observed, unless they are very gross, after once things are very gross, it becomes very difficult to even to cure. But when things are even very mild or some, and only when you observe, then hey, my child is walking this way, or he's not talking properly. When you observe, then you're able to notice the problems. So even a doctor can only help when the disciple is open and honest and reveals, but he himself doesn't know what's going on with his japa, what's going on with his relationships, what's going on with his finances or his goals. Then no matter who is in front of us, they won't be able to help us. So it is first of all up to us to become humble, that I this is not the end of journey. I'm just traveling the journey and trying to show others a route. That doesn't mean that I have reached the path. I am also on the journey. I'm just assisting others to walk to the journey on this path. So we cultivate humility, and we constantly and humility will come when we see when we interact with others who are better than us, who are more sincere than us, more serious than us. Then we'll see that, oh, this is I have much more advancement to make. And therefore one of the reasons why we read shastras very regularly is that we may not, even if we interact physically with those advanced devotees, in the scriptures, in our histories, when we hear glories of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, or Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, or Prahlad Maharaj, we know there is a long way to go, and we have to be open and humble to keep going. So that's the reason why we need to constantly keep scriptures, keep reading scriptures, hearing them, knowing the glories of, and also with devotees around us, to appreciate and to try to see the good in them, and to try to see the bad in us in a healthy way, not in a negative way. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Braj Mohan Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Who is this speaking? If devotees can share their names, so it will be
Murali
more.
Govindas Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
How are you, Prabhuji?
I am good, Prabhu.
Thank you very much for the nice class, which points you have explained have touched me like anything. So only my small, for my academic interest, Prabhu, you said direct and indirect preaching. What
Yes.
it exactly conveys when a preacher is preaching, what will be a direct preaching and what will be indirect preaching?
Actually, both are same, that the whole goal is not to connect to the moon, but when you but there is a direct contact with the moon, like Prabhupada says that you go and water the roots is direct nourishment of the tree. Another is to not try to understand that there are roots and you need to water them, try to make them understand. So the understanding, trying to make them understanding the importance of spiritual life is kind of indirect, based on what is his level, and gradual preaching. In, instead of saying indirect preaching, you could also see this as gradual elevation of that person. And then direct is where you nourish, because now that you know the need, now you have to directly get involved and connect with Krishna through hearing about his glories, chanting his names. The Navavida Bhakti is direct. So anything that a devotee is doing that is part of this Navavida is called as Swarupa Bhakti, the original nature of. And then anything that it connects to that is called as Aropita, is that to come there, just like you take a bath to go and do the arti. Now taking that bath is indirect, but it is the way by which you can come here. So if you already taken bath, doesn't mean that you are you have done the arti. It is just a stage so that you can do the arti nicely. So same way, it is preparing a person to be able to receive or practice the ninefold processes of bhakti. That is, so the ninefold process of bhakti is Navavida Bhakti, and therefore Prahlad Maharaj, he said that is the highest knowledge that I know of to Hiranyakashipu when he was asked. And anything else that supports or that brings a person to do that is, you can say, gradual or indirect preaching. But the whole
Thank you very much,
intention,
Prabhu.
and anywhere you stop, then it becomes not bhakti. But you
Okay.
have to continue the journey. Okay.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thanks a lot.
Any other questions devotees have?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Very, very beautiful class, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your beautiful class. I don't have any question. It was very nice, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So, thank you all devotees.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, and also one more thing you said about having the video on. It's not possible for like us every day, because early morning we are cooking and so much things are going on nowadays. Everybody has the online school and online office, and they are coming in between, and their things are coming, so that's why.
I understand that devotees are busy with so many other things, so therefore they cannot be in front of the speaker or and hear it. But what I am saying is that when you directly sit, that's what is Upanishad, that was Upavas, then there is no substitute there. So if you're not able to do at this particular time, then maybe during the other time of the day, sit directly with the Bhagavatam or sit directly with a devotee and hear from him, either through Zoom or either through no. So the what I'm saying is that this that when we face each other, then there is more involvement and more discussion. So of course I understand that even sometimes I also, I'm busy with some other, I'm hearing a seminar, I may put my video off. But in general, especially for those focus seminars or where there is education is needed, then it is always better that we face the speaker and the speaker faces the audience. So that's what makes it actual more connected to the traditional way of doing things. And that's the reason I said that it is better that devotees not hear it in person, or if you're not in person or in face. So that was not undermining all the devotees' different services. Yes, we
Yeah.
have, but the importance of that is there. Maybe some other time or sometimes in when possible, you can try to do that. Like we can always chant, but we also specifically sit down and do japa. So that's a role for that. So same with hearing Bhagavatam, the direct hearing, exclusive hearing. There is no substitute for that.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji, very true. And also for chanting time, some devotees they put their video on, so
Yeah,
you
it
know
also makes you more
everybody
conscious
can see
that
what they're doing.
yeah, it also makes you more conscious that devotees are watching you, observing you. So you have to behave yourself well.
Yeah.
You have to be there, attentive. So the mind, as it is said, when you're alone, mind takes over. When you're with others, intelligence takes over. And for practicing bhakti, intelligence guiding us is safer than mind guiding us. So that's the whole thing. So,
Oh, yes, Prabhuji, very true. Thank you so much.
thank you, Hare Krishna. So, my humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas that have come together to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. And
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very nice class.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Thank
Bye.
you very much, Prabhuji, for your very enlightening class today, and we are very grateful to you. We look forward for your association again in future. If nobody have any questions, we can end the call here. Okay, let's pay our obeisances to the Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, His Grace Braj Mohan Prabhuji ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.